Can you imagine a time when punishments were so cruel, they made today's justice system look like a luxury? Throughout history, humans have devised some of the most horrific ways to punish each other. Let's explore the top 10 worst punishments ever recorded, and trust me, they are not for the faint-hearted. Number 10. Scaphism. Imagine being trapped in a wooden boat, smeared with milk and honey. This wasn't a spa treatment, it was a death sentence in ancient Persia. Scaphism involved placing the victim between two boats, exposing them to the elements and hungry insects. The milk and honey attracted bugs, which would feast on the person's flesh, leading to a slow, agonizing death. Victims would suffer from exposure, dehydration, and sepsis. It's horrifying to think about how someone came up with such a torturous method. This punishment was designed not only to kill but to do so in the most excruciating way possible, ensuring the person suffered immensely over several days. Number 9. Lynching, death by 1,000 cuts. In Imperial China, justice could be especially brutal. Lynching, or death by 1,000 cuts, was reserved for the worst criminals. The executioner would slowly slice off parts of the body over time. This method was intended to prolong the agony for the condemned, making the punishment as psychologically torturous as it was physically painful. Imagine the sheer terror and agony of experiencing each cut, knowing the torment could continue for hours. Lynching wasn't just about causing pain, it was a powerful message to anyone who dared to defy the law. The victim's suffering was a public spectacle, meant to serve as a deterrent to others. Number 8. Breaking wheel, Catherine wheel. Medieval Europe had its own share of grisly punishments. The breaking wheel, also known as the Catherine wheel, involved tying the victim to a large wheel and then bludgeoning their limbs until they broke. The twisted bones were then threaded through the spokes. This method not only caused excruciating pain but also prolonged the victim's suffering before death. It's chilling to think about the public watching as the executioner methodically shattered the person's body. This spectacle served as a stark reminder of the consequences of crime and rebellion, designed to instill fear and obedience among the populace. Number 7. Flaying. Various cultures, including the Assyrians and Aztecs, practiced flaying. This punishment involved removing the skin of the victim, either partially or entirely. Think about the unimaginable pain of having your skin peel off. This method was not only a death sentence, but also a way to instill fear in the populace, warning them against rebellion or dissent. Flaying was often carried out in public to maximize its impact. The sheer brutality of this punishment ensured it left a lasting impression on those who witnessed it or heard about it, reinforcing the authority of those who imposed it. Number 6. Impalement. Vlad the Impaler didn't earn his nickname for nothing. In 15th century Romania, impalement was a favored method of execution. Victims were skewered on a sharp stake, which was then planted upright. They could hang there for days, dying slowly. It was a gruesome spectacle meant to terrify and control the population. Impalement was not just a means of execution, it was a psychological weapon used to maintain power and instill fear. The slow, agonizing death served as a powerful deterrent to anyone considering defiance. Number 5. Burning at the stake. During the witch hunts and heresy trials in medieval and early modern Europe, burning at the stake was a common punishment. Accused witches or heretics were tied to a stake and burned alive. This public execution was meant to purge evil and serve as a stark warning to others. Imagine the terror of facing such a fate, often based on flimsy or fabricated evidence. Number 4. Rat torture. Rat torture was used in various periods, including the Dutch Revolt. A metal container filled with rats was placed on the victim's stomach, and the container was heated. The rats, seeking escape, would burrow into the person's flesh. The mere thought of this is enough to send shivers down your spine. The psychological horror combined with the physical pain made this an especially cruel form of torture. Number 3. Crucifixion. Crucifixion was a common method of execution in ancient Rome, especially for rebels and traitors. Victims were nailed or tied to a cross and left to die from asphyxiation, exposure, and dehydration. The agony could last for days. This brutal method is infamously known due to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, which has significant historical and religious implications. Number 2. Blood eagle. In the Viking Age, the blood eagle was a ritual execution reserved for traitors. The executioner would sever the victim's ribs from the spine and pull out the lungs to resemble wings. This method was not only physically excruciating but also symbolically powerful, intended to demonstrate brutal retribution and serve as a deterrent to enemies. Number 1. Drawing and quartering. In England, high treason was met with drawing and quartering. The condemned were hanged, disemboweled, and then cut into 4 pieces. This public execution was designed to maximize suffering and humiliation. It served as a grim reminder of the consequences of betraying the crown. Just imagine witnessing such a spectacle, meant to instill fear and obedience. These punishments remind us of a time when cruelty was a tool of power and control. Reflecting on these practices can make us appreciate how far we've come in terms of justice and human rights. If you found this exploration into history fascinating, don't forget to comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos.